If there's any band that we can all agree on, it's A Day to Remember. Wake up! They're one of the few Easycore bands to flourish after the genre had run its course. While other bands struggled to stay relevant, it seemed like A Day to Remember always adjusted with the times. They're a band me and my friends have always loved, but love for a band doesn't always blind you to their missteps. Yeah. Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor, and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. I don't think A Day to Remember needs an introduction, but for those of you who don't know, the band was formed in Ocala, Florida in 2003 by singer Jeremy McKinnon, guitarists Neil Westfall and Tom Denny, bassist Joshua Woodard, and drummer Bobby Scruggs. Their debut studio album, And Their Name Was Treason, was a mix of metalcore and pop punk. This album would leave a big impression, and the band would soon sign to Victory Records, one of the biggest pop punk and hardcore labels of the 2000s. They would release 3 albums on Victory: For Those Who Have Heart, Homesick, and What Separates Me From You. These albums are all classics, giving us bangers like Downfall of Us All, Have Faith in Me, All Signs Point to Lauderdale. They toured with huge bands like August Burns Red, We Came as Romans, and Bring Me the Horizon. They were mainstays on the Vans Warped Tour, gaining fans of all kinds, from emo kids to metalheads. After the release of What Separates Me From You, the band filed a suit against Victory Records due to breach of contract. Apparently, Victory owed them over $75,000 in royalties. Victory said that the lawsuit was really about the band's refusal to fulfill a 5-album contract and them wanting to move to a major label. This actually happened a lot with Victory Records. Bands like Thursday and Atreyu have all spoken about their experiences with the label and the label owner, but that's for a different video. Safe to say, the band parted ways with the label and moved on with their career. They'd self-release their next album, Common Courtesy, and they'd release the following, Bad Vibrations, jointly with their ADTR label and Epitaph Records. This was around the time I started drifting away from the band. I wasn't really into those 2 albums. I don't know if I just grew out of that Easycore brand of pop punk that A Day to Remember kind of perfected, but I couldn't tell you a single song off of either of these 2 albums. Not to say they're bad. They're probably dope as shit. I'm just not a fan. Like most bands from the 2000s and 2010s entering the 2020s, A Day to Remember had to adjust to the changing musical landscape. Guitar music was not as dominant as it once was, with bands instead favoring electronic elements. In 2019, the band will collaborate with superstar masked DJ Marshmello on the song Rescue Me. This was a different direction for the band, having a more EDM sound as opposed to the pop punk and metalcore that we were used to from them. I remember not liking it when it first came out, but listening to it now, I actually really like it. I mean, it's your basic EDM track with rock vocals. 2 months after the Marshmello collab, the band released their newest single, Degenerates, and announced that they were signed to Fueled by Ramen Records, known for bands like Fall Out Boy, Paramore, and Panic at the Disco. On Fueled by Ramen, they would release their 7th album, You're Welcome. And this is where our video really begins.
What the hell was that?
What I want to do today is take a look at an album that polarized both fans and critics and may have even changed perception of the band themselves. I will try to find the good in an album that is not very liked and do my best to defend what could possibly be A Day to Remember's worst album. So grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the video. It's not telling me how much battery I have. After the lawsuit against Victory Records, A Day to Remember spent 6 years as an independent act. After Bad Vibrations, they didn't release anything for
5 years.
With this new release and this new label, the band wanted to try something different. Something happier. Jeremy McKinnon said in an interview with Kerrang that the band wanted to take on a more modern sound and modern influences. He said the collaborative writing process and freedom of EDM and rap resulted in the band getting together and brainstorming ideas, managing to record a 42-song demo.
Holy shit.
The songs ranged from indie rock to punk to heavy. However, he didn't want to stray too far from the band's sound and turn off longtime fans, resulting in some songs being left out so the band could polish their sound on the ones that did make the cut. In August of 2019, the band released the first single off of the new album, Degenerates.
My friends are degenerates, but I never change them. Liars, cheats, and hypocrites, not the time for saving.
This song is a preview of what to expect with this new sound. The band doesn't switch things up too much. There are some electronic drums in the beginning, but it kind of works. A lot of rock bands in the 2010s and even today are using electronic elements. It's practically commonplace. The song is much poppier than anything the band had ever done before though. The band does have some pop punk songs in their catalog, but this goes into like John Bellion type of directions. The chorus is so singable though.
My friends are degenerates.
All in all, not a bad song. It's a good lead-up single. It sounds familiar enough that old fans will be satisfied, but with a modern enough approach so they don't sound like nu metal dinosaurs. Initially, the album was supposed to be released in November of 2019, but was delayed until early 2020 due to mixing and artwork not being complete.
This is the first sign of trouble.
A delay is never good. When an album gets delayed, fan expectations get higher because we assume the artist is making it double plus extra good. But that's not always the case. Most of the time we get a Chinese democracy and not a the next day. But who knows? Maybe A Day to Remember are working on the perfect album. This is called sarcastic foreshadowing. A week after the album's original release date, the band released their second single off of this album, Resentment. Now this sounds like A Day to Remember. We got some heavy vocals, but still some electronic elements in there. It kind of works. It kind of works. It's got a Beartooth vibe to it. Alright. Maybe the delay was worth it. The album was released on March 5th, 2021. Initial reviews were
Mixed,
to say the least. The NME didn't mince words when they called the album a mishmash of sounds and moany lyrics.
Harsh.
They continued by saying, there are more misses than hits. A Day to Remember struggled to work out who their band should be in 2021. And they have a point. The NME isn't just being mean to be mean.
You're just mean because you're British.
the album is a little all over the place. You have electronic songs like Degenerates, the more countrified Everything We Need, and the Imagine Dragons-esque Bloodsucker. A Day to Remember really just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And the result is this. Wall of Sound gave the album 5.5 out of 10. Comparing the band's drastic change in sound to 30 Seconds to Mars' similar shift between 2005's A Beautiful Lie and 2009's This Is War. They would continue by saying that the album had so much potential for the band to try new things and evolve, but that it all felt rushed and forced.
Harsh.
I think the worst review comes from Punk News, who gave the album 1 star and called it bastardized in a way that would make Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach seem like a really hard motherfucker if you were listening to that one Screamo record Papa Roach tried to make after nu metal went bottom up.
Ouch!
The reviews weren't all bad though. New Noise gave the album 5 stars. And AllMusic gave it 3.5. Riff Magazine praised the album, stating, "Those looking for only heavy guitar riffs and screaming aggression may want to look elsewhere, but those willing to take a musical journey will be rewarded." Fan reaction was less mixed. Fans did not like the new direction, which makes sense. A Day to Remember was consistent with their heavy sound, chugging guitars, screaming vocals mixed with pop-punk melodies. They criticized the production, the sound mixing, the pacing, you know, music nerd shit. Nerds! Nerds! A lot of fans felt like the band was selling out, trying to go pop and ride trends. We see it with a lot of rock bands from the 2000s and 2010s. They want to adapt to change and not be left behind. But fans end up hating it and calling them an Imagine Dragons ripoff. Can we be nice to Imagine Dragons? When your favorite heavy band takes it down a notch and gets a little more poppy, it feels like a betrayal.
How could you? You were supposed to stay the same.
That was the consensus around You're Welcome. The band sold out. I will admit that the album is all over the place. They do jump from style to style with varying degrees of success. Degenerates is a pretty good song, and it does sound like what A Day to Remember would conceivably sound like in 2021. And Viva La Mexico is just so stupid that you can't even hate it. And I will defend FYM with my entire chest. If there is one song that I love on this album, it's this song. Everyone else hates it, but I love it.
Come at me.
I can't say that I don't disagree with the fans on this one. A Day to Remember do sound like they're trying to fit in with the newer groups of today. It's kind of like in the 90s when hair metal went belly up and every hair metal band was trying to make a grunge album, but they just couldn't pull it off because that wasn't them. This electronic, marshmallow-esque sound is not A Day to Remember. But at least they tried. They could have played the same song over and
Over and over and over again.
until fans eventually got tired of it. At least they tried and failed, instead of not trying at all. Is You're Welcome that bad?
Yes.
It's a messy album that throws a lot of things at the wall, and none of it really sticks. They just sound like they're kind of lost in this modern musical landscape, just sampling everything they can, trying to find something that works. You could tell the band wanted to be played on rock radio, but they ended up sounding too pop for rock and too rock for pop. But at least they tried. Would you rather have your favorite band stay the same forever, or experiment with new things and try to progress and try something different? A Day to Remember has been a constant for most music listeners my age. We've been listening to them since we were in middle school, at least. They melded pop punk and metalcore into something great. But do you still like that style of music? Maybe you do, I don't know. but I guarantee that your musical taste has evolved. You have a broader musical taste than you did when you were 15. If you can evolve and try new things, why can't your favorite band? A Day to Remember try. They really try. And I commend them for that. Most bands would be afraid to fail in the way You're Welcome failed. The album isn't great. Far from it. In fact, it's probably their worst album so far. But I don't know if I would go as far as to call it a train record. The band could come back from it. Maybe if they take some time off, figure themselves out, and regroup, they could come back with an album that we all want. But with this album, at least they tried. What do you think of the album? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Have you heard it? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then I highly recommend smashing that like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. We are on the way to 1,000 subscribers, and every like, every comment, every share, any interaction with this video at all really helps me out in the algorithm to get this video pushed out to more people who might be into what I'm doing. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye. You gotta be kidding me.